Alright, so the purpose of this video is to go over what they call a production possibilities curve. Before we do that, I just want to go and review just real briefly about what economics is and what it's about. And so, real quick, there was an economist one time that talked about how economics is the study of happiness. All right, and so how you can get what you want out of the limited resources that you have. So I thought this was kind of a nice way of looking at it. Obviously, there's a lot more technical and uh, you know highfalutin kind of definitions of what economics is, but the study of happiness seems like a pretty cool thought to be looking at. So anyway, again, economics is the primary concept in economics is that of scarcity, and that's the idea that there's not enough stuff to go around, not enough that the stuff that you and I like, not enough stuff uh, to fulfill all of our wants. Okay, remember our wants are unlimited, while our needs can often be met. So we've got needs. Generally, we can say yes. In a lot of developed countries, we are meeting needs, but when it comes to wants, people's wants are unlimited, and we can't meet everybody's wants, and that's because there are limited resources. And again, just a reminder, those limited resources are what they call the factors of production. And the factors of production are land, labor, see if you can remember them. The third one's capital, and entrepreneurship. Okay, so today's lesson is going to be about how we use these resources to produce the goods that we do, and how much of each good can we produce given what we've got. All right, and so in this, in our economy, so the U.S. economy, let's say that we collectively make a decision together that we are either going to produce tractors, okay, because who doesn't like tractors? And tractors are produced, we've got a big factory in Grovetown, so it's kind of cool. John Deere tractor. So we're producing either tractors or how about Nerf footballs? Because we all like Nerf footballs too. And so the idea here is it's going to be one of these two. And so when we're looking at a production possibilities curve, all right, come up here, production possibilities curve, or you might also see it written as frontier, and that would be abbreviated PPF or PPC. So the idea here is to look at all the different possibilities that you have in your production question, given the given the resources, limited resources that you have. And so let's pretend that the U.S. wants to either produce tractors or Nerf footballs, or some combination of the two. And we're going to take all the resources that we have, all the land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and devote it to producing either tractors or Nerf footballs, or some combination of the two. And so let's just come up with some numbers here. So let's say that what if we decided we didn't want to produce any tractors? All right. How many Nerf footballs could we produce? And that means that 100% of the land, 100% of the labor, capital, entrepreneurship would all be going to the production of Nerf footballs. And so let's just, I'm making these numbers up, but let's just say we could produce 1,000 Nerf footballs. Okay, so we'd give up producing tractors. We decide to go back to mules, and not a good place to be, but for some reason we decided Nerf footballs are a little more important. So anyway, we can do 1,000 footballs and no tractors. Or what if we go the other extreme and say, you know what, let's not produce any Nerf footballs, let's just do tractors. And if we used all of these resources, then we could produce 5 tractors. But again, since they're all being used, 100% are being used for tractors, that didn't leave us anything for Nerf footballs. And so what we want to do is, we know that we could take, half of these and produce tractors, and half of them and produce footballs, or 27 to produce 20% to produce tractors, and 80% to produce Nerf footballs. And so we just want to look at the different combinations. Again, this is all the different possibilities. Again, up here, this is all the different possibilities. Whoops, didn't mean to do it like that. That was not the highlight. How about that? There we go. All the different possibilities that we can use our natural resources to produce. Okay, so let's say that we produce one tractor. I don't want yellow. Let's go back to blue there. All right, so let's say we want to produce one tractor. How many tractors, how many Nerf footballs? Nope, hang on just a second. Let me erase that. All right, so if we want to produce one tractor, there we go. How many? That means that we've taken some of these resources and taken them away from producing Nerf footballs to producing tractors. And so that means that obviously not as many people are producing Nerf footballs, so we can't keep producing 1,000 of them. Let's say that now we can only produce 950. All right, then let's say, you know what? Let's produce two tractors. And again, we're taking some of the resources that are producing here, pulling them to produce the tractors, which means that we now can produce less Nerf footballs. And so let's say that that's now 800. All right. If we wanted to produce three tractors, let's say that that drops to 600 again, because as we move this way in tractors, we're pulling more resources away from Nerf footballs, and that's why this number is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. All right. So let's say we get four tractors, and let's say we can now produce 350 Nerf footballs. So this is our production possibilities. Okay, here's a quick question for you. Why can't we produce 5 tractors and 1,000 Nerf footballs? Okay, so if you think about that for just a second, the idea here is that if we're producing 1,000 of these, 100% of the resources are going to Nerf footballs, and so there's none left. If we're producing 5 of these, 100% of the resources are going to production of tractors, and there's nothing left to produce footballs. And so it would be physically impossible. We don't have enough resources to produce both 1,000 footballs and 5 tractors. Okay, so what we want to do now, this is all the different possibilities, all the different production possibilities for producing one of two goods. All right, and so what we want to do is now we can just plot this out. All right, let's see if I can draw here. So we want to plot it out and turn this chart basically into a graph. And so let's say at the bottom, we're going to have tractors, and trying to draw one here. When I was a kid, I was able to drive these tractors at my grandmother's house. So we'll put somebody on there, a big smiley face, driving the tractor. Maybe pulling a plow or something. And then over here, this is Nerf footballs, not the best football. But anyway, okay, so we've got the production of tractors down here, production of footballs up here. So let's say we can produce up to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tractors. And we've got up to 1,000, so let's just do increments of 100. 100, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000. All right, so there's 1,000, 800, 600, 400, and 200. So what we want to do here is to convert these numbers into this chart. All right, and so this is a pretty straightforward process. This is just plotting numbers, which you all started doing probably in elementary school, so this is nothing new. So we say, okay, if we produce 0 tractors, here's 0 right here, 0 tractors, then we can produce 1,000 Nerf footballs. All right, so we're just going to put a dot there, and that's one of the production possibilities that we have. If we decide to produce 1 tractor, all right, that means we can produce 950 Nerf footballs. So 1 tractor, somewhere around 950. All right, then we've got 2 and 800. So 2 tractors and 800. It's right around there. We've got 3 tractors and 600. So that goes right about there. And then 4 tractors and 350. Maybe right around there. And then 5 tractors and 0. Okay, so each of these dots represents, we can just say that's A, B, C, D, E, and F. And so this is A, B, C, D, E, and F. Now, what if we chose to say, you know what, in a day, let's produce half a tractor? Can we do that? And the answer is yes. Okay, this is just giving us some random points along the curve, but so the idea here is if we connect all these dots, we're going to get the production possibilities curve or frontier. Okay, and so that would be like, you know what if we do 2.5 tractors? Could we figure that out? And so yeah, you just go up until you get to there and come over and say, you know what, if we produce 2.5 tractors a day, we can produce something like 750 Nerf footballs at the same time. Now, two more quick things. Would it be possible to come out here and produce at this point? Let me do a different color here. Would it be possible to come out and produce here? So we want to do 5 tractors and 800 Nerf footballs. And hopefully you can look at it and say, obviously, that the answer is no, because we don't have enough resources. If we're producing 5 tractors, we don't have anything left to produce any more. All right, so everything to this side is what they call unattainable. Unattainable. All right, not enough resources. Just, it's not a bad thing or good thing, it's just not possible. Now, what if I said, you know what, let's produce 2 tractors and 400 Nerf footballs. Is that possible? And hopefully you can look at it and say, well, yeah, because if we produce 2 tractors, we should be able to produce 800 Nerf footballs. And if we're only doing 400, obviously that's possible. Okay? But the other thing that you should start to think about is, obviously this is also bad because we're not producing as much as we could. All right? And that's one thing we want to be, and that is efficient when we produce. And so any point inside this curve is considered bad. All right? And you would also, there are a couple of terms you should know. Inefficient. So you'd say inside the curve is inefficient. And there are unemployed resources. And that just means that people are not working, factories are not being used to 100%. So if you look at today's economic numbers, we're at 8.3% unemployment. We know that we're somewhere inside this curve. So real quick, if we're on this curve anywhere, that is considered efficient. All right, efficiency on the curve, and that is definitely a place that we would be happy about being. Okay, not the best at smiley faces, but so that is a production possibilities curve. We get the data from here, we plot it over here, and it shows given 2 different products, and the PPC or PPF is only the comparison of 2 different products. Here's all the different options you have. And in the next video, we'll look at cost, from how much does it cost to get one tractor to the next, and a couple other issues dealing with that. So until next time.